vetted and kicked out within a couple of days if they're unhappy with that individual. So they have retreated from being very public and outspoken to being more private. In some cases, they have abandoned social media altogether, whether you think of people like al-Qassemi, who today only sends private messages but never checks his Twitter, never checks, never goes on Facebook, although he has a new project which is a social media platform, ironically. But a lot of these individuals have now abandoned social media altogether.
So what, if anything, can they do to regain the initiative, or do you think it's just gone?
I think it was partly smart of them to either stop tweeting or to retreat, only because there's nothing that you can say that would save you from the criticism, because you could potentially land yourself into a lot of trouble if you criticize the government, but then if you don't criticize the crackdown, you end up looking like a hypocrite. So for them, and oftentimes their families are very concerned about them. They would rather not see them get in trouble, get arrested. So the best way was for them to either stop posting altogether or maybe retreat into groups where they're still outspoken, but in a very, very private circle.
I mean, which countries are we talking about where you've got a serious threat to act? It's obviously Egypt, obviously Syria. I mean, what does the rest of the region look like?
Can you define threat?
Well, sorry, where people have genuine concerns for their welfare if they're caught tweeting? There must be it varies from country to country, right?
Every single country in the Arab world, save for Lebanon, has jailed activists, online activists. Every single country. Every single country today has individuals in jail for posting tweets. Even countries that would surprise me personally, such as Kuwait, where in general the freedom of speech was at a much higher level. Kuwait was one of two countries, for example, that would rank in the Freedom House ranking as partly free. The other being Lebanon. So for Kuwait, having I think overstretched with regards to jailing people, not only for criticizing internally, but also criticizing other leaders in the region. So there's a number of activists who are in jail today in Kuwait, or either detained or have cases against them brought, who have criticized the Bahraini government or the Saudi government, or governments that are seen to be friendly to Kuwait. In Egypt, it's a similar case. There are obviously harsher penalties depending from one country to the other. I think Kuwait, which again surprises me personally, it can go up to 10 years. But in other countries, you have individuals who were allegedly jailed for social media posts, but the real crime would be something that the government can't really place, such as partaking in demonstrations, for example.
I mean, where would Tunisia and Qatar sit on that spectrum?
Quite differently. So Qatar has jailed maybe a number of people using social media, but the person who's most famous now is a poet who was given a 15-year sentence. He had published a poem on YouTube criticizing Arab leaders, and he's still in jail. This is about 3 years now. His sentence was brought down from 15 to 10. Tunisia, to be honest with you, it probably is one of the freest. However, we don't know, only because the change of government has been so recent. However, it is probably after Lebanon one of the freest countries. Maybe Jordan also was largely free until a recent incident.
Okay. I mean, within the areas controlled by ISIS, presumably social media outside ISIS, pro-ISIS counts as gone was completely dark, right?
Social media outside there are people who use social media even within ISIS camps. There's a friend of mine who posts from there, Rami Jarrah, and he goes into ISIS-controlled territory and he films video, but he doesn't post while he's there. He films and he leaves and he uploads his videos once he's left the territories. So the same thing with the Twitter feeds of the U.S. government that are supposed to send messages that the U.S. Point of view. These don't go very far, and I think because the U.S. government doesn't give them much to work with, so they basically take whatever's written in English, publish it in Arabic, so they don't have any kind of breaking news or statements from Obama that could put them on the map. That is one reason. The second reason is they aren't sexy, they aren't identifiable. If you want to take an example of somebody who is very successful in attempting to counter the very bad image of his country, you can think of the Israeli spokesman.
This is about Regev.
No, the Arabic spokesman.
Oh, right.
So, sorry?
Yeah,
so Afghai. So he tweets in Arabic. He posts on Facebook in Arabic. He is very popular, not in a loved manner, but in a ridiculed manner. However, his posts do get read. If your ultimate goal is that your posts get read, his posts do get read. People share them, people make fun of them, especially when he quotes from the Quran. And it's so interesting that a lot of activists in Egypt and across the Arab world, quote him and poke fun of him, but he is shared and he's very much followed. And he doesn't.
So that would be a success in your.
That would be a success. Yes, I mean I don't agree with his message at all, because he speaks for an occupational force.
But
however,
he's in the conversation in
yes,
a way that
he is
the
involved,
Americans are.
exactly. So the Americans don't have anybody. It's like Euronews. There was no anchor. You don't know who was presenting this channel. The channel didn't have an identity, and that's what Avichai brought to the conversation. He brought an identity. He brought a face of an Israeli military person who I think sometimes he changes his image to wear civilian clothes, but in general he is an IDF spokesman. He's not even an Israeli government spokesman, he's an IDF spokesman.
Okay, now that's interesting. I mean, how about Al Jazeera, which was of course one of the great engines of the Arab Spring in 2011? I mean, is that still a player in this, or has it been overtaken by others?
Al Jazeera's dominating role has been completely usurped by other channels. It's still a very popular channel, but at its peak, Al Jazeera claims to have had 80 million viewers. There's about 330 million Arabs, give or take 10, 20 million. So they would have a sizable, maybe a third, if not half, perhaps even half the viewers of television tuned into Al Jazeera at the peak of the Arab Spring between December, January, February, and March. No doubt, Al Jazeera had tens of millions of viewers. However, the channel lost its CEO, Wadah Khanfar, who tried to start a think tank. Always risky. But now he's moved on to Huffington Post Arabic apparently. So I think after he left, although he's quite associated with the Muslim Brotherhood, he didn't let it become too overt. The newer management, I think, allowed a lot of pro-Muslim Brotherhood rhetoric
at a time when the Brotherhood was incredibly divisive. Right?
Yes. So a lot of pro-Muslim Brotherhood messages were being broadcast. I think much to their own disadvantage. The channel lost a lot of credibility, and then when the Muslim Brotherhood were kicked out of power in the summer in the coup of July 3rd, 2013, the channel almost became hysterical with regards to all its guests, because all these spokesmen had left Egypt. They ended up in Qatar. So perhaps 90% of its guests were either spokesmen of Al Jazeera, of the Muslim Brotherhood, or members of the Muslim Brotherhood. So there was a giant tilt to guests and people who came in to give opinions, and even the coverage was slanted towards the Muslim Brotherhood. Now, because there's a huge conspiracy theory mindset in the Arab world, Al Jazeera didn't go far enough, and it always catered for the Islamists. You had other channels that popped up, including a channel called Al-Mayadeen, which I bet many of you haven't heard of. So Al-Mayadeen is founded by an ex-Al Jazeera anchor, Ghassan bin Jiddu. He's half Tunisian, half Lebanese. He was seen to have sympathies with Hezbollah. He left Al Jazeera, started Al-Mayadeen channel, and it is very, very popular. and their coverage is very pro Hezbollah, but they do get a lot of guests from Hezbollah. It's very interesting to see their coverage. And then finally, I think another channel that benefited heavily is Russia Today. Russia Today, surprisingly, isn't a very popular channel maybe in the English-speaking world. However, in the Arabic-speaking world, it's a very popular channel, and it represents the
broadcasting in English or Arabic?
Broadcasting in Arabic.
Okay.
Represents the conspiracy theories that the Western hands are behind all of the trouble. That any conspiracy theory you can imagine is given a lot of credence on Russia Today, Russia اليوم in Arabic. One more channel I should say is doing quite well is the BBC Arabic. There was a report out 2 weeks ago about how BBC Arabic, although very boring, although very stale, has, because of its very conservative coverage of the news, has gained at least a slice of Al Jazeera and Al Arabiya and these channels, some of their viewers.